All right, Patrick Mahomes has done it again. He has headed to the Super Bowl. The only quarterbacks to eliminate him during the NFL playoffs are Tom Brady and now Joe Burrow from a couple of years ago. And it kind of felt like if it wasn't like we have been looking for that quarterback to kind of dethrone Patrick Mahomes time and time again. But which quarterback out of the AFC? Because listen, Patrick Mahomes isn't going to win AFC championships forever. Who is going to be the next AFC quarterback to win a Super Bowl outside of Mahomes?
It's a great question. I'm still going to go with Josh Allen.
I would probably go with Josh Allen as well. My first thought was Joe Burrow. I don't know that he's got enough with him defensively, and I don't know what his offense is going to look like as well. T. Higgins probably going to leave. They'll pay Jamar Chase.
But does Buffalo have enough defensively?
That's a good question. They need a pass rusher. They really do. Von Miller's just, a little too old and not a
And one of these years they will take a step back after all these runner-ups. All these runner-ups in the AFC. Like, you just can't have 12 win seasons in a row you're due to have a letdown season.
I do think the Ravens might have beat them this year, but they couldn't get through the Bills.
No.
So Lamar could be the next one up, too.
Sure, absolutely. And with them, it's a matter of, I know you had home field advantage last year and you lost to them, but you can't have these slip-ups like they do in the regular season where they're not the number one seed.
Well, I mean, think about it this year as well. If you were Kansas City only had to beat one of them, the Ravens or the Bills. If the Bills or the Ravens were going to go to the Super Bowl, they were going to have to beat two of the best teams. They were going to have to beat one of them comes out and then beats Kansas City. So the path in the AFC was pretty treacherous.
What was their path last year, though? Kansas City had to do all that.
Oh, yeah. Mahomes had the greatest.
All on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. But they're the Chiefs. And until you prove that you can do what the Chiefs can do, you're going to play second fiddle.
Like, the clock's kind of ticking on it a little bit, but maybe it's someone on a rookie deal right now. Like, C.J. Stroud, I know, isn't obviously the best out of Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar, but he at least has a contract where you can build up the rest of the team around him to beat them. Or maybe it's even a guy like Bo Nix.
Oh, boy. Really?
Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh.
I would say Justin Herbert probably, I would.
Can you imagine a Bo Nix versus Jaden Daniels Super Bowl? What that would do to us?
We'd just leave town.
Break our minds. Yeah.
Welcome to West Palm Beach, Florida. Waddle and Silvy down here covering everything south. I couldn't live here if that was the case.
I'm looking at
listen.
the
I could buy C.J. Stroud because their defense is already excellent. You'd have to improve their offensive line, obviously.
I think it's one of the big
injuries.
three. I'm not going to get cute. It's either Allen, Lamar, or Burrow. One of those three.
Cincinnati's got to clean up some of their stuff. They really do.
It is the one reason, though, why I still have hope for the Bears is because they're not in the AFC. God, that is just such a meat grinder. Whereas the Bears, listen, it's the Eagles' great roster and now Jaden Daniels that you have to worry about.
Well, and they showed you what this team was in disarray a year ago, the Commanders, and they got to the NFC Championship game. If you put things together and are smart and you get some bounces, we all know that, you can do damage. I just don't know if it's the Bears that can do that damage.
By the way, in the situation with Jaden Daniels, was that not the most perfect season for him? Like, he gets to the NFC Championship, and yeah, you got run out of the building, but it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault. There were 3 fumbles by your receivers. It's one thing if you're turning the ball over because you're throwing interceptions, but the fumbles, you can't point to Jaden Daniels. He had the team in the game. That first drive, it was 3rd down conversion after 4th down conversion.
18 plays.
It was incredible.
Yeah. I like how they play, too. They play fast.
Did you think
they play fast, but they play under control because he's so poised?
On that first drive, did you think Dan Quinn should have went for it on the 4th down?
I did. I thought it was kind of weird that you went for it on 4th and similar distance from further back. But they were always in field goal range, I believe, of the other 2 4th down attempts. I did find it a little bit strange.
Yeah, it was a little – it didn't make sense. you're kind of waffling from, because what was it, 4th and 4, 4th and 3?
I think that finally was 4th and 2 or 3, wasn't it, when they kicked the field goal?
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was a
those
chip
three-
shot
yeah.
at that point.
Nick Sirianni, I know he was someone who entered the season on the hot seat. There were conversations that he may have even been fired after the end of last season with the way that the Eagles season ended. But here he is back in his second Super Bowl in 3 years. Where would you put Nick Sirianni among the best coaches in football right now?
It's really hard, and it's what I tried to do when I brought up their narrative. When you describe the Eagles, I don't think anyone would say they have the best coach in the league. Think about it. They lost their coordinator and both coordinators after their first Super Bowl appearance. Then they got rid of both coordinators last year. He doesn't call plays. He's an offensive mind that has never called their plays. So I think he's one of the harder guys to wrap your arms around because they win and they win consistently, but he does at times act like a boob.
Like, isn't he kind of just Dan Campbell with a more impatient fan base?
It's funny. It's funny the way you put that.
He's had more success. He's now in 2 Super Bowls. But both teams have excellent personnel. They've had excellent general managers that have been drafting. They've had some really good coordinators on both of those teams as well.
I think I hate to say it, but I think a lot of the talent just is the ultimate deodorant for some of the things he does.
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of an angrier Matt Nagy. Do you ever see that? Like, he's not quite as nice as Matt Nagy, but I think they have a lot of the same mannerisms, and sometimes
he's got some Philly in him for sure. Like, you can tell.
And you know, Nagy was in Philly for a lot of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying, like, in terms of that division, I think you'd take Sirianni over any of the coach. Would you take him over Dan Quinn? Like, as a head coach?
Well, he's going to be 2 Super Bowls in how many years?
That's
3
what I
years?
mean. Like, if he was
It's
fired
so
today,
tough to pin. Like,
if Sirianni was fired today, where would the line start? How long would the line be for someone to hire him?
who would you rather have, Sirianni or Sean McDermott?
Well, Sean McDermott feels more stable.
And
Listen, I think Sirianni, if they're not going to fire him this year, but like they'll move quick because of the roster. Like the same thing, the reason they moved off of Doug Peterson.
right, they won a Super Bowl and they moved off of him.
Yeah, and Kellen Moore's your OC, so it's not like Sirianni gets a lot of credit there.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't call plays. Never has.
I was going to say, I don't think he called plays in Indianapolis. I think Frank
No,
Wright called
And
them.
last year they were
exactly.
a disaster, and Vic Fangio has helped fix the defense this year. I don't think there'd be people like knocking on his door.
I don't know. I mean, it's a really good question. I don't know what to make of him.
Let's not act like they're having kumbaya meetings in that locker room either. Because it seems like every other week there's a new controversy, another player speaking out.
Yeah. They just win.
They find a way. And it may just be like the talent is too good for them to truly lose over time.
It's a good question.